This is Bradley with Semantic Mastery, and today's Hump Day Hangouts. Wednesday we do the weekly SEO Q&A, and so we call it Hump Day Hangouts, and it's pretty much a free-for-all, open to the public. Anybody can attend and ask away any kind of SEO-related questions, marketing, agency-related questions, anything like that. I'd be happy to answer them. Looks like we got a few people on already. I was just kind of getting reacquainted with Scott, who's been kind of a long-time acquaintance, and I haven't seen him for a while, so I'm glad to have you here today, Scott. Let's see, guys. Looks like I don't have any help with me today, so it might be a little bit scattered trying to answer questions, so I do apologize for that, but I'll get right into it. With anybody that has anything in particular that they want to jump in with, I'll be happy to answer it. Hey, BJ, how are you, man? Let's see. Now I'm trying to navigate like a chat session, a Q&A box, and the events page. So again, I don't have any help, which I'm surprised. I usually have help. So here comes Adam now. That's good. So, Adam, tell me when you can hear me. All right. I guess maybe Adam, can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I was getting nervous that I was going to have to do this all on my own.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was on my laptop and turned around and had the volume muted. So.
Yeah, it's no problem. It's just hard to watch 3 screens at once. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Which one you want me to watch?
If you can watch the events page, make sure that the video stream's coming through okay as well, and then any questions that come through there.
Sure. Can you send me the link real quick? I always have a hard time.
Yeah, let me pull that up. And looks like Scott just dropped a question. I'll get right to that, Scott. Give me one moment. Let me get this over to Adam.
Whatever.
Adam, I'm going to send this to you in normal Google chat.
Sounds good.
All right. Here you go.
Thanks.
All right, cool. So, guys, if you submit a comment, it looks like it will notify me. If you also, there's the Q&A tab that you'll see, like the little Q&A button on the events page. Also, if you're actually in the Hangout, I think you can click it too, and I think it will submit questions. So I'll be back and forth between those. But let me jump on what Scott asked for. Okay, he says, I have a question. I have a local lead gen site that has a few PBN links pointed to it. Several months ago, it disappeared from the search results. I removed some of the lower quality links. Now it is back on page 2. Very good. What types of linking strategies should I focus on to get it to page 1? Would love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for your help. Well, that's a good question, Scott. Obviously, with any sort of SEO, there's a lot of variables to consider there. Are you 100% sure that it was the PBN links that did it? I mean, apparently you removed them, and it brought it back, but where did you get the PBN links? Were they your own PBN sites?
Yeah, they were, yeah. They were, I had bought them a while ago, and there's a few low-quality ones, and as I learned over time. So I removed those, and it just disappeared, and then I just checked it a few weeks ago, and it's back.
Okay. What else are you doing besides removing links? Are you building any links to it?
Well, I don't really know which links to build. It's not like a branded style site. It's just a local lead gen site. I don't really want to go out and build all the branded sites to it. Maybe some more PBN links, maybe some other, I don't know, I'm not sure. I don't know what, how to approach
Well, I mentioned this in the webinar last week for the members that press release links are really good. That if you're on page 2, you could probably get to page 1 if you could come up with some sort of reason to create and submit a press release. You know, since it's not branded, it's a little bit trickier. But if you could somehow work in, find some sort of trending topic or some sort of news or something like that that has to do with whatever industry it is in, and then create a press release and submit it with the links pointing back to the site, then you'll get a surge of really high quality media style links, which will most likely push you up on the page 1. Provided that everything else is okay with like the on page and all that kind of stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, okay, yeah, it does make sense, yeah. I think the site's not bad, It was on page 1 for quite some time, and then it just disappeared. And none of
Yeah.
the other.
If you wanted to have me look at it, I could. I don't know about publicly in front of everybody, but outside of that, if take a look at it for you or something, I certainly wouldn't mind doing that for a minute. So.
Okay, I'll let you know.
Okay, because one thing I would suggest is even with lead gen sites, local lead gen sites, is that you create a brand. Even if it's a very generic brand, but you still create a brand and a logo and everything. Even like I said, because then you can mock or kind of mimic an authority site, even though it might be a complete generic,
Right.
like just lead gen site. But that way you can it's easier to submit press releases and things like that without it being so. If it's too generic, then it's hard to give it an authority status, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I did take those kind of small steps to make it a branded site. I thought that might help. I think it did actually. I changed a bunch of the keywords and made those keywords into a branded style kind of business. So maybe I just needed to run a few articles through IFTT and stuff like that, and then I created a bit of a link wheel, something small. I thought, nothing major like 15 Web 2.0 properties, but something like Google Plus and WordPress and some big ones. And
well, I just assumed you had already done that. Do you have a net
No, not really. It just kind of started making me some money with the PBNs, and then just disappeared. And I don't know why, but maybe I'll just do a small link wheel like that, or a IFTT campaign and a couple web properties and nothing too major, and see what happens.
Yeah, again, that should have been my first response to your question. So I was making some assumptions because I know you've been around for a while.
Right.
So let me start over.
Right. Okay.
Step 1: build an IFTTT network for your site. Okay. Then submit a few blog posts to your site and syndicate them out and see how it comes out. And then after that, if you need a press release, you could do that too. But without a doubt, I would create that stack of high authority Web 2.0s around first, because that'll help with branding and everything else.
Okay, I got another question about that too, since we're on that topic. Right? Like I've never run GSA before to some of those Web 2.0 properties, and I hired a couple guys off Fiverr recently to test out a few test sites that I have. But the links are just totally garbage. I would never. Is that normal for GSA?
Yes, it's a spam tool. So the problem with GSA is incredibly powerful if you know how to use it and where to use it. That's
right.
So I don't use GSA any closer than Tier 3 now. I used to use it as Tier 2 links, but now only Tier 3 because they are incredibly spammy links. But you can push a ton of link juice through them with GSA. So what I tend to do is build the IFTTT networks in Tier 1, and in Tier 2 I will do PBN links, or I will do secondary Web 2 networks, and then I will do GSA to those. Because basically you want to boost the page authority of those sites. Because the domain authority is there, right? If you're using Web 2s and social media type sites, you've already got the domain authority, correct? So what you're looking to do is boost the page authority, which it's similar to PageRank, right? So that's how else do you boost them besides pushing a ton of link juice to them? So that's why I do it. And also keep in mind that when you're using GSA and things like that, that you got to really pay attention to what your anchor text ratios are, especially in local stuff. Because you don't want to be targeting exact match keywords even out at Tier 3 anymore. You don't want to do that. You want to go very broad terms,
right?
Because otherwise, all those keyword relevancies, those anchors will funnel through, especially if they're do follow links. If you got no follow links, is like between GSA and your money site, then that's different. You can get away with a lot more. But if they're do follow links, you got to be really careful with your anchor ratios as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I did make an effort to get research about 100 broad keywords. So I'm hoping that.
Yeah, you want to go broad. Like for example, you don't want to let's just use home improvement for example, or home remodeling. You don't want to use home remodeling Vancouver and Vancouver, home remodeling company and stuff like that. You don't want to do that because it's too specific. Home remodeling, fine. Home improvement, fine. Those are more broad terms, but you don't want to get very specific anymore And that just changed recently since the most recent Penguin update. So I would just go a lot more broad with your terms now.
Yeah, I did have a few, lots of general kind of articles, home improvement articles in those Web 2.0 properties.
Okay.
And then there is some Vancouver-style articles as well. I did add a few of those keywords, but not like one or two of 100 where it had Vancouver in it, because there was a few Vancouver articles in those Web 2.0 properties.
Mm-hmm.
So I did. It was just one or two links that had Vancouver in it.
Okay. All right. Well, I got another question that came in from Screen Name. And I'm hearing some beeping in the background. But it says, "Hey guys, quick question about network syndication. How can we be sure we're safe with duplicate content? What's the best way to create an attribution link?" Great question. Okay. When you're talking about doing syndication to a branded network, it's completely okay to use your own content to syndicate to your own branded network. So what I mean by branded network is you don't have to have, if you have a company and, whether it's a local business or whatever, and you brand your network to your company so that it's basically an extension of your brand. You're not trying to hide anything. You're saying, hey, this is just my presence on this platform, whether it's WordPress, Blogger, Tumblr, any one of those. It's okay to do that. You want to use the same graphics, so you want to theme everything the same, and make sure that you're claiming it. You're stamping your identity or your brand's identity on across everything and trying to make it consistent. And then in that case, you're basically just syndicating your content to your own branded network. And that's perfectly okay so long as you're using an attribution link citing the source, because it's essentially saying, hey, this is my content that originated over here. I'm just republishing it over here because this is, this is one of my network properties. So how do you create, now before I get too far, I'm going to talk about the attribution link here in just a moment, because there's a couple options for that or solutions for that. But are you safe with duplicate content? Yes, because, and I get this question a ton of all the time, guys. So you're not alone when you're fuzzy about this, because you hear a lot of misconceptions about duplicate content and that sort of thing. Where you get in trouble with duplicate content is if you're republishing stuff without giving attribution link, number one, and then inserting your own links and stuff like that. That's number one. And also, so if you're not citing yourself, but you also got to think about when people share articles on social media, for example. Typically, what do? They just grab the link and they share it, or they like it, or share it, or Google Plus share it, Facebook share it, tweet it, retweet it, whatever. Those are always the same link. It's not spun. It would be duplicate content if that was a problem. But by sharing the link, they're citing the source. So especially with Open Graph now, you know how like when you do a share, a lot of the times it will grab a snippet of the article and a big thumbnail image now, and it will share that across social media. Well, that could be considered duplicate content, except that they take that into account. So by citing the source, by giving a link back to where it comes from, it's not duplicate. In fact, it will boost your rankings, right? Because it's showing an interest in your content. Well, you can kind of artificially manipulate that with your own network, right? So the idea is that if you were to create multiple networks, what I call tiered networks, which we use a lot, okay, and I do that a ton, but you don't want to be like you have your branded network and you syndicate to that. That's fine. You're claiming that. You're saying, hey, this is my content. And you're putting your stamp on it. You're saying this is this is just an extension of me or my brand, and whether it's a business or a website can be a brand, right? So as long as you keep everything consistent, it's okay. But if you are creating additional networks purely for linking, right, for link building purposes, what I would call persona accounts. So you create a John Doe network and everything's John Doe or whatever, and then you're syndicating the same content to there. Now that could get you into trouble. So there's ways to mitigate that too. That's what that's what I call tiered networks, and there's ways to use stacked networks or multiple networks in tiers that will keep you from getting in trouble, but that's a little bit more advanced, which we could get into. We go over that inside the Semantic Mastery membership. It's not something I'm going to talk about here. So, short answer, and then I'll get to the attribution link part. The short answer is you're okay to syndicate your own content to your own branded properties. Okay? I know that was a long way to get to that, but all right. Number two, the second part of that is where do you get the attribution link? Well, there's a number of ways to do it. The Yoast plugin, which is the WordPress SEO plugin by Yoast, that has an RSS function in it. And if you're familiar with that plugin at all, are you, by the way, Chef? Are you familiar with that? The Yoast plugin? Yes. Okay. All right. So in the Yoast options, you hover over the left sidebar, you'll see there's an RSS function. And in there'll be two text boxes, and it'll say content to place before the content, or content area to place after the content. And you can put an attribution link in there. And what that'll do is let me go ahead and take the screen for a minute, and I'll just go ahead and open up my my demo blog, and I'll show you where to set that up and how to set that up properly. We also have a plugin that we coded that is a little bit better for diversifying the attribution link, which I'll talk about that in just a moment. And you guys can get that plugin for free, and I'll show you where to get that in just a moment. But let's walk through this first. Okay, so you guys can see my screen, correct? Just want to make sure. Can somebody chime in for a minute? Let me know if you can see my screen. Okay, I'm assuming you can. All right, SEO plugin over here. If you click on that and you look at the RSS box here, or the option, it says content to put before each post in the feed or content to put after each post in the feed. So essentially what you want to do is, typically what you'll see when people are using this is they're going to grab this, which is called the post link. This is a token right here, right? And so what this will do is use the title of the post. It'll link back to the post using the title as the anchor text. Okay, so that's for any post, it'll do that, right? Then they'll say was first seen, or was first published, or was published first on, or something like that. It'll say something like that, and then they'll do the blog link. Okay, and what this will do is put a link back to the home page, the root domain, with the website name as the anchor text. So now let me go ahead and just save these changes real quick, and I'll show you what this looks like. But there's some reasons why this is better than nothing, and this is what we used for a very long time. But we've coded one of our Chris, our developer, he actually created a plugin that is better than that, and we'll tell you why in just a moment. But let me show you what this looks like. And you guys know Firefox has a native feed reader. So and Chrome does not. So if you want to see what the feed looks like, use Firefox, and hopefully I've got content. Okay, right here is the feed, and you'll see that like we'll use this one as an example because this is content, right? You'll see that it says burrito because that's the title of the post, right? Burrito. This is an example blog, so there's some funny examples on here. But burrito was first seen on BBM test blog, right? So you see that these are the anchor text with this. So this, if I click on this, it's going to open it up. I should have clicked a new tab, but that's going to take me to the post itself, and it used the post title as the anchor text. Now, if I click on the other part of that link, was first seen on, you'll see that that's going to take me to the home page of the site, right? And it used the site title as the anchor text. All right. So one thing I don't like about this is that back in November of last year, so just over a year ago, Yoast actually turned the post links in the RSS feed here to no-follow links. So they're always no-follow. And there's reasons that they did that because people don't, if people don't know what they're doing, it can actually hurt them. If somebody comes and scrapes your RSS feed, right? Somebody pulls your RSS feed and then it gets picked up and just mass syndicated all over the place. And you've got anchor text links pointed back to your site and they're do follow. You could trip a penguin filter and put your site into penalty, right? So Yoast did this for people that were less than that weren't the most sophisticated SEOs, novices, that sort of thing. They made these to where these are no follow links. And there's no way that you can change that without editing the plugin files yourself. And that's what we did for the longest time in Semantic Mastery is we would go in and edit the files ourselves to make that back into a do follow link. The problem with that is every time Yoast updates, which is often, it would rewrite the code, right? So especially when you're managing dozens or even hundreds of blogs, it just wasn't practical, right? So the alternative here to be able to use Yoast still would be to use, I still use the post link always, the token for that. But what I like to do is hard code the link back to the home page, and I like to use the root URL, or so a naked URL, the raw URL. So in this case, I'm just going to hard code this really quickly, right? So I'm going to say ahref equals quote, then I'm going to grab URL, paste that in, and I'm going to call this, I'm just going to use the same URL again to make it a naked URL. Now, if you're using an exact match domain, you don't want to do that anymore. If you're using an EMD, because EMDs actually count as exact match keywords now, so you've got to be careful. If that's the case, if you're using an EMD, you might want to go with the blog name, provided it's not spammy. If it is, then if it's an exact match name too, then I would suggest mixing it up a little bit and putting something else in there to make it more long tail in nature, or leaving it as no follow, which would be just using the blog link token, if that makes sense. But by now you can see if I go ahead and hit save changes, and let me go refresh this screen. Now you see what it did? It changed this to a naked URL here. And this was actually do follow. In fact, let me see if I have my, it's not going to show it on an RSS page. I'm not sure why. But this is actually going to be do follow now because I didn't hard code the, actually, to be honest with you, yeah, it should be do follow. Let's see if we can find it in Chrome real quick. And then I'm going to show you the other option here in just 1 second. Let's see, if we look for the attribution link, and I'm not seeing that. Okay, well, I'm not seeing it here, but here's bigbimbomarketing.info. Right here it is. Okay, yeah, here it is. It's hard to see, but right here is rel equals no follow. You see that? And here's the link to the home or to the post itself, and here's the post title, burrito, right? And then it says now was first seen on, and it looks, here's the link to the home page, and here's the raw link here, and there's no follow tag there. You see that? So that's how you boost that back to a do follow link. But again, if you're using an EMD, just be careful. All right. As far as 1 second, I'm trying to get these questions. Sorry about the noise. Didn't know my mic was hot. Okay. As far as the other the plugin that we created, it's specifically an RSS plugin for syndicating, because, like I said, the reason why they had no followed it was because if somebody had picked up your feed, or if your feed got picked up by some auto blogs and things like that, which there's still a ton of auto blogs out there with script feeds. You should be so lucky, first of all, because if you've done it right, it's going to give you a bunch of backlinks. But if you've done it wrong, it could cause you harm. But what I like to do, and what we try to do with the IFTTT networks is syndicate our content using our feed. So we very strategically use our feed in a manner to push our content out across the web intentionally. All right. So what we want to do is we want to vary those anchors in that, so that we're not leaving it's not the same thing over and over again. Because if you do the same anything over and over again when it comes to SEO, it loses its effectiveness. And at some point, it even becomes harmful, right? I mean, we all kind of know that. But if we were to take the plugin that we created, and let me just open up a notepad, and I'll show you guys what our plugin does. Okay, so we have the same token. I don't think I have it installed on this blog. No, I don't. Let me see if I have it installed as part of the test. And if so, I'll show you. Yeah, right here it is. I'm hoping this is the correct version. All right, so how come I'm not seeing it? There it is. Now, this is not it. I must have the old version on it or something, guys. Sorry, I don't have it installed, but let me show you what our code does. We do the same thing with the blog link token. Like, we can still use the same tokens. So I'm going to say blog link, or whatever it was, post link, I think it was. All right, and then that's for the token, and then we can say was first seen. Now, hold on a minute. I'm going to show you what's really cool about this. Was first seen on. Now, we can use spin tags for this. Okay, so essentially we can take and hard code a link in like we just did. So let's just use this as an example. I'm going to go through this and code this just like I would for one of my real sites instead of just my test site. And I'm going to put this in. And now here's where we can use spin tags, right? We could actually spin in a follow and no follow tag if we want. So for example, here I could put in a spin tag and then type in a blank and then put in rel equals no follow, so that each time it scrapes. I know I should have had this installed, guys, so that I could show you like examples. Because what's really cool about the plugin that we use is that each time you refresh the page, it changes these links around. We're using spin tags. So it always, your attribution link gets switched up every single time the page is pulled or called to draw content from it. These switch up because it uses the spin tags. So it's really, really cool that what we've done. So anyways, bigbamboomarketing.info, there's the raw URL. There's a rel equals no follow, so you can mix in no follow. So 50% of the time it'll have a do follow tag, 50% of the time it'll have a no follow tag, right? Then you can add in different kind of anchor text for the link. So essentially you could do a raw URL as one of the anchor texts. I'm going to put that in here. Then we could do, let's say we want to do the brand name of the site, right? So that could be another one. Then we could do, variations of the URL. So we could do it with without the HTTP, right? We could put that in there. Then we could do it again with www and do that. So every single one of these are going to be variations, right? We could also do like I could say just Big Bamboo. So you guys get the idea. Now each time that this is called, it's going to use the post link was first seen on, which by the way, this can be spun too. So why not? Why not say was first seen on? How about published first on? We could say was originally posted on. So you guys get the idea. We could spin this out too. So now each time that we use it, it's going to return a different result. Does that make sense? You guys getting that? So really cool. We did that intentionally because we do a ton of syndication with our IFTTT networks, obviously, and this is a way to give a lot more variety, to diversify your attribution link. So it's covering two bases. Number one, it's giving you the attribution link, which is critical to this for this method. And number two is diversifying that so that it's not leaving a footprint, something that's been repeated over and over again. And again, if you've done SEO for any length of time, you know that if you do anything in excess, it can be harmful, and if it becomes less effective. And if you continue to do it, then it can become harmful. So that's why it's good to diversify this and use different types of versions of the attribution link. Okay. All right. So that said, let me show you where you can get that. We are actually getting ready to launch our IFTTT product, and January 6th is our public launch date. But as part of the opt-in the sequence, guys, if you want this plugin, I'm going to paste this in chat. Is this training included in the IFTTT program? Yes, the last part of it, BJ, is at the very. I don't know if you've purchased it yet, but at the very end of it, because the IFTTT training is set up around video SEO networks. That's how all the training videos are created, around video syndication. However, at the very end of the training, I show how to modify for RSS or blog syndication, which opens up a ton of possibilities for you. And so there's training on how to do that. But let me put this in the chat box. If you guys, I'll also put this on the events page. But it's iftttseo.com/PDF. That's the start of the funnel. And guys, I've got the recipes that we use for our business inside the PDF, so that you don't have to manually create all the recipes. And there's a plugin download in that PDF, and you guys will get access to that plugin too. It's a free download. Just click on it and check it out. Install it on your blog, and then let us know if you have any questions about it. Okay. And there should be a training video on how to set it up, too. Let's see if there's any other questions. No, I'm not seeing it in that box. Okay. One other thing, because I need to wrap up on like now, really, in maybe another 5 minutes, guys. If somebody else has a question that they want answered, jump in right now, because I do have to wrap up on time. My daughter has her school Christmas choir concert tonight, and I'm looking forward to going to that. So, if anybody else has any questions, jump in. I do want to show very quickly. Let me open up the screen one more time and show you guys the inside of the training series. We've been working really hard on this. I worked on this all day today, polishing up a little bit, but this is the IFTTT training series. This right here, we have over 60 videos in here, guys. Over 60 of them. That's huge. And it goes step by step through absolutely everything, starting with using proxies to creating the accounts, setting the accounts up properly, adding seed content to the accounts so that they don't get shut down. If anybody's done a whole bunch of Web 2 work, they know that one of the problems is Web 2 sites get shut down a lot. Well, we teach in here how to prevent that from happening, at least as much as possible. Then we talk about tying all the accounts together, which creates massive authority, which is exactly what Scott was asking about in the beginning. And I just assumed that he had done that, because that's going to be something that could push him over to page 1 from page 2, is just setting up the syndication network properly. Even if you don't do any syndications, just setting up the branded Web 2 network and properly interlinking is going to pass massive authority to your site, especially for local sites. Okay? And then here's the IFTTT training videos, which talks about setting up all of the recipes, creating them manually, although you don't need them manually to do it manually, because if you download that PDF, the recipes are already created for you. The only thing you have to do is modify the fields, edit the fields with your details, so you don't have to create all the recipes. It'll save you a ton of time. And then RSS recipes for blogs. If I click on that, you'll see right here. Let's see, maybe let me click on that. No, it must be because I'm logged out. The RSS recipes themselves basically teach you how to do this for blogs. All right, and then also there's 2 bonus trainings that are going to be included, which will probably sell as separate products after the launch, but live stream sites and advanced RSS training, and that's part of the initial launch. So you guys, it's open to be purchased now, but our official launch isn't until January 6th, so the bonuses have not been added yet. They're in process, but this is not a pitch webinar, guys, I swear. This is an SEO Q&A, but I am proud of this, and if you guys want to get it, just grab the PDF, and you'll be taken through the funnel anyways. Check out the IFTTT recipes. If you want step-by-step training, that's where you purchase this, and for $47, it's a steal. So, all right, let's see. We had one more. Thanks. Just got the IFTTT program. Hopefully, I'll have capital for full membership soon. Awesome, BJ. Thank you. Welcome. I think you're really going to enjoy it. So I'm quite sure of that. All right. If there's any other questions, guys, otherwise I'm going to wrap it up. Nope, I don't see anything. Alex, let me ask, Chef, are you Alex? Or Alex, are you Chef? We had somebody purchase over the weekend, or I think it was yesterday actually, and he's been hitting me up with a ton of questions, which is good. But he said he was going to make it today, and I'm just wondering if that's you. No response on that for sure, but yes. Okay, great. Well, welcome, Alex. We do this every Wednesday, so I'll end with this, guys. On Wednesdays, Hump Day Hangouts, we do this every Wednesday from 4 to 4:30. It oftentimes runs beyond the 30 minutes. I'm going to publish the new event page. I usually do that by Thursday for the following week. And what I would suggest is that if you have any questions that you want answered, even if you can't attend, if you post your questions on the event page, I will answer them during the event, and then you can catch it on the replay. So you can always get your questions answered that way. And I give away just about a lot of stuff. So there's some stuff that I won't talk about publicly because it's for members only. But I do try to answer as much as I can during these because I want you guys to know the value that you'll be getting inside the members area as well. But you're free to attend on Wednesdays for free, even if you're not a member. I'm glad to have you. I welcome the questions. I enjoy it, and enjoyed having you guys here. So, anyways, until next week, if you guys have any questions, leave them on the events page. I'll cover them then. Thank you all for attending. We'll see you next week.